Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for this Small Business Boot Camp. I am Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services, and I'm glad to have you with us today. One thing we've started doing is we kick off the boot camps as we like to have everybody go to your chat right now and type in where you're tuning in from. We like to see where we have people from Arizona and beyond joining us. So type in, again, in the chat, where you're from, where you're tuning in from. And we'll shout some Mesa, Glendale, Sanders, Surprise, Tempe, Gilbert, Fountain Hills, Winslow, Sierra Vista, Tucson, Phoenix. Excellent. Got a good group there. Thank you, Vicki, for joining us, Phoenix. Again, if you're just joining, post in the chat where you're joining in from so we can see where we've got our audience. But glad to have everybody with us today. So as we like to do when we start, we like to thank all of our community partners. We could not do these webinars without them, their time, their effort, and their expertise. This is just a sample of our community partners. We have well over 100 different community partners and over 220 different presenters from these community partners. So we're excited to have one of our presenters back with us again today, and we'll talk about them here in more detail. But those that are new, the Small Business Bootcamp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow. It is not just the Tuesday morning 9 a.m. webinar that we host every week, but it is also a series of lunch and learn workshops, in-person workshops, and our content library. And we'll talk about all those here as we go through this little intro. First, the content library. The content library is where we house all of our recorded webinars, and we record nearly every session unless there's proprietary copyrighted stuff that their presenter can't have us share beyond the live webinar, but that is very rare when that happens. Most of our presenters are allowed to share their content, and we share it in the content library with the recording and with the slide decks. And so you can find a lot of great information in the content library. We also try to, all of our virtual workshops, we record as well, but we don't record the in-person ones. But this is a great resource. There's no cost to access it. It is at the bottom of the Bootcamp webpage. You can access it and find the most current sessions, and we click view all webinars, and you'll see all 300 plus recorded webinars. The ACA also has a number of other programs that can help support small businesses. The Arizona Career Readiness Credential can help you as you're looking to hire people with specific skill sets. The Arizona Innovation Challenge for our tech entrepreneurs throughout the state. Arizona MEP, our Manufacturing Extension Partnership for our small to medium-sized manufacturers throughout the state. The Arizona State Trade Expansion Program, AZ STEP, is for our small businesses that are looking to expand and export their goods and services into new markets. And then Arizona at Work has some programs that help support employers. And then our Small Business Services, which I oversee, can help you navigate with the SBA, SBDC, SCORE, many different community partners. We bring educational programs to you as well, such as the webinar today, and more. So there's a lot of programs at the ACA to help support small business. One of those we like to talk about and share is the Small Business Checklist. It is an online interactive resource that helps entrepreneurs identify the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance needs at the local, state, and federal level. It is a great resource as you're starting your business or expanding into new areas. And there's also a lot of other great business tools and resources as part of the checklist. When you go onto the checklist homepage, you'll find the checklist, but you'll also find our virtual assistant, Sally. Sally stands for State and Local Licensing Information. And Sally can help with some quick answers, but the checklist itself has the more in-depth information and links to the agencies, organizations that are required as you're starting your business. Now, some quick updates, some things we want to share with everybody that's attending. Um, there's a workshop coming up on October 17th, how to attract and retain Zoomers. It's hosted by the World Desk Connectors and ASU. It's in the morning on the 17th. The ACA will be there presenting as well. And then we have our Tempe Workforce Skills Accelerator for those Tempe businesses. And then I wanted to share, and we have our food businesses that are out there. The Purchase Local AZ program, the request for proposals is open. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you know somebody that's a local farm, local producer, that's something that they may be able to take advantage of. So check those out. We do have some additional workshops coming up in early November, one for manufacturers and one for that we're doing with the Phoenix Business Journal. Information for those will come out in the email that you will receive later this week with our upcoming webinars and workshops and so forth. So be on the lookout for that. So with that, we'll look at some of our upcoming webinars. So this Thursday at noon, we have a special session, a special lunch and learn workshop with the Arizona Department of Administration and that runs the Business One Stop Portal. And the Business One Stop Portal is a new portal that the state created to help make it easier for businesses that are launching or adding DBAs and other stuff to do everything in one place, as opposed to having to go to multiple agencies to get everything done. And so we're going to have the Business One Stop team show everybody how to use it and what you can do in the Business One Stop portal. So that'll be a lunch and learn on Thursday at noon from about 12 to 1:30. And then next Tuesday on the 17th, we have online business tools everyone needs. And then the following week on the 24th, we have Small Business Intelligence Size Up 101. There's going to be two parts. Size Up is a program that APS is helping sponsor. And so the folks that own the Size Up is the company. They run Size Up Arizona is the website. They're going to do two sessions that talk about how to use that information. This is a really important one because the information that is on Size Up was generally information that was reserved for large business enterprises, but Size Up has made it possible for small businesses to leverage that same information for your benefit. And it's paid for by APS, so there's no cost to use the website. And so we are going to do two different sessions. They're going to cover two different topics of using that website, but it's great business data that you can use to help grow and strengthen your business. So join us for those sessions on the 21st and the 30, or the 24th and the 31st. So with that, we're going to jump into today's session. Today we've got Ashley Kelly and Jose Yanez from JP Morgan Chase. They've both been with us before in previous sessions. We're excited to have them back. And they're going to be talking about cash flow for your business. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Jose get his screen loaded up. While he's sharing his screen with questions, please post your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. And that way we can use the chat for any interaction that we may have. But we like using the Q&A for the questions so we can keep track of them and try to answer, try to get through all of them if we have time. So Jose and Ashley, it is all yours.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Robert. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Today, we're going to go ahead and talk about navigating your cash flow. And for those who have seen Ashley and I before, welcome back. For those who haven't, we'll just do a quick little introduction of who we are, what we do with JP Morgan Chase. Jose Yanez, we are what we call senior business consultant. Ashley Kelly is my counterpart, and she'll introduce herself here in 1 second. But what Ashley and I do, JP Morgan Chase came out with this great program and said, there's a lot of resources. Obviously, the ACA is a great one. But Chase said, we got to do something as well to support small businesses. So one of our aspects, what we do in our 9 to 5, I guess you could say, is we help mentor and we help coach, especially on a one-on-one level, to small businesses and help them scale and help them get to the next step of their business. We understand there's a lot of questions when it comes to how do you talk to a bank? What is cash flow? How do we go get a loan? What type of loan? Or are we even ready for a loan? These are the type of questions that Ashley and I will actually work with small businesses and just kind of help them out and just give another sounding board and help them coach through what we know the entrepreneurship is a very tough world. So we're out here just to help everybody. But Ashley, you want to go ahead and introduce and tell them about our second favorite part about what we do?
Yes, thank you, Jose. Ashley Kelly, Senior Business Consultant with JP Morgan Chase. Like Jose said, we do the one-on-one mentorship with businesses, but we also get to do this part of our job, which is we work with great organizations and we do presentations. And we do this with, so that we can reach a broader audience as well. It's probably the best part about our job because we get to be interactive. Usually Jose calls me his assistant. I'm surprised he didn't say that right now.
Not yet, not yet.
But we've been doing this for a while. We've both been in banking for 20 plus years. The majority of that has been in business and commercial relationship management and business banking. And this one is probably one of my favorites because cash flow is the heart of a business. You have to understand it. And there's a lot of, I would say, ideas, what people think about cash flow. And there's multiple parts that comes with cash flow. And you have to have a good understanding of it and understand where it comes from, how it's going in and out. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We want to make this interactive. And so if you have questions, please ask them. We will pause throughout this to make sure we're getting to any questions and that we're getting as much information to you as we can. At the end of the presentation, we'll throw up a QR code as well, just to give us a survey to see if you guys like us, if we did a good job so that we know we can keep our jobs. No, but just if you could do it and just let us know so that we can take the feedback back and know how we can be better for our audience. And so we're going to go into this. And again, if there's any questions, please let us know. So cash flow is the fuel that keeps your business running smoothly, right? Cash flow is the money coming in and out. And you have to have a good understanding of what that looks like and how it's coming in and out of your business so that you can plan and move accordingly. Success depends on making sure that the cash is there when you need it, right? A lot of times I hear when they've come to us or any bank, right? When they're in desperate need, things are going bad, your numbers don't look good. Are those times where things like that happens? Yes. But if you can plan ahead and get the cash or get the capital or have a plan in place before you need it, you're already going in a better direction.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest ones too, Ashley, if I can just jump in, is also if you get the opportunity for a contract. I know we talked a little bit earlier, getting a contract, a government contract, make sure you have the cash flow and you know where your money is going so you can go ahead and take advantage of that.
Yes. So on here, just think about this. We're not going to have anybody put anything in the chat, but think about this. How confident are you that you have the cash to bridge a 1-month closure of your business? Think about that. This is Jose's favorite line. We had a funny or, a thing that happened in 2020 called COVID, and it shut everything down, right? So when that happens, was your business in a place where it could sustain? I really hope that doesn't happen again, but we have to plan for things like that. I would say you want to look at this just like in your personal finances, right? You want to at least have, I would say at least 6 months of reserves, right? To really take you through those humps and those things to make sure that you can, get back on track. And if you don't have that, it's time to start thinking about that and putting things in place. If it's a savings, getting lines of credit, making sure debts pay down, things like that, right? And so we're going to go through all of that, but just think about that. Where do you fall into this line? Okay. So the topics that we're going to cover today is cash flow basics, just understanding the cash flow, right? And then maximizing cash coming in And then part 3 is maximizing cash out and then making cash work for you. And again, when we talk about cash, I don't want you just to think about money in your bank account. I wanted you to think about it in a revenue aspect and expense aspect of coming in the business on your P&L, your profit and loss statement. That's how I want you to think about cash flow. Okay, Jose, I'll kick it over to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ashley. All right, cash flow basics. So one of the questions that we always get is what's a cash flow? We all understand bankers. We love cash flow. We that's really what tells us the health of your business per se. But this number right here is a terrifying number to me. 50% of small businesses are operating with fewer than 15 days of cash flow. 15 days. Now, this was done a study between 2013, 2017. Obviously, that was before the pandemic, the COVID world happened, right? So one of the things is now we take a look at it, and all of us, most of us, depending on how long you've been in business, obviously we've all lived through it, but have you been a business owner through it? And that's something that we really want to think about because 50% of businesses will close down after 15 days. Like that is a number that should be awakening because we always talk about your personal finances, saving for a rainy day, but we also have to understand how your money moves throughout your business for you to plan a little bit better for yourself, to shelter yourself from the storm. It's really what it should be. On the banking side, as a banker, you come to a bank and say, you know what, Jose, actually, I'm ready to get a loan. Here it is. I have this opportunity. But if you don't have the reserves or you don't know where your money's coming from or where it's going to, how much you're going to be, it's going to be very difficult to convince a banker, for ourselves to go to our credit officer and say, hey, I believe we should invest in this company or lend to this company based on X, Y, and Z when they don't even know what their payroll is going to look like. They don't know if they have a tax liability coming up. They don't know these things, and it's really difficult for us to go ahead and make it more of a incentive for the bank to give you the loan rather than for it not to happen. So what types of cash flow, because cash flow, like I mentioned, is also money coming in, but it's also money going out. And we're going to talk about the 3 different types of inflows and outflows that exist in both the operating, the investing, and the financing. So we'll go ahead and jump a little bit into it. So JP Morgan Chase has come out with a great tool. And for those who don't have this, Ashley, do you mind actually just typing that in the chat? If anybody has, if you don't know how your tools, your cash is working, Chase came out with this great tool. It's absolutely complimentary. You don't have to be a client. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's something that we created, and I'll help you visualize your inflows and outflows to track your performance for your business. It's at chase.com/cash flow analysis. And what this does, it will allow you to put in all your inflows, for instance. So on this one, you're operating. What are part of your operating inflows? In this one, it is your sales of services, right? Everything that you've sold, all the money will be coming in. One-time income, like in this case, for instance, is shown as retainer fee. That's all inflows for your operating day-to-day business. And then on your investing side, right, one of the 3 is property rental income. So let's say you own a warehouse, but you're only occupying 60% of it. So you rent out the other, 40%. That is income, that is inflow that's coming in. And it's also very important to know this because on the banking side, on the lending side, we can actually use this income to help you with your cash flow ratio. So if you are going to get a loan, we can use that money for the income. And then another one type of the financing inflow would be the small business loan. In this case, the PPP loan is shown on there as a reference. These are all different ways that you can calculate how money is coming into your business, into your account. It's very important to know these because once again, as a lender, we will actually take all 3 of these categories in consideration when it comes to lending money. All right. And obviously when money comes in, money has to go out because that's how you keep your business running. All right. On the operating side, what type of things should we be aware of? And this one is your payroll and wages. All right. Payroll is obviously that's probably one of the biggest overheads for most small businesses. Your insurance and general operating liabilities, as stated in this example, those are ways that we know those are operating costs, things you need to spend money in order to make money. And now we talked about the investment portion, all right? Purchase of equipment and machinery. In this case, a new computer, a new PC. Those are ways that you're investing into your business. And banks want to know this, once again, when it comes to the investment part, because one, we want to see one, are you paying? Is it a one-time payment? Is it a monthly thing? But number two, are you investing and can we use this stuff as collateral? All right. And then the last portion will be your financing, your repayment for loans. This is obviously another portion that we want to know about. So in this scenario, it's your PPP. You're paying it back, your monthly payments. These are all ways that money is leaving your business. And this is where we should know. So then we can work a little bit closely with your business and have a better understanding of how your business money flows. Okay. Using, once again, our cash flow analysis tool. If you go in there and use it and put all your information, you will get this cool little bar graph and this little pie chart. And it'll tell you how your business is going. And like Ashley always says, this is really great because you can say, you know what, we are doing fantastic. Or it can be very humbling. And this is something that I said, you have to know your lifeline of your business better than anybody else out there. Because if you don't know your business, if you don't know, and Ashley, you and I have seen this time after time, what are you looking like? Are you seasonal? That's one thing that this chart will actually show you is your seasonality. Something else, once again, that obviously you should know so you can plan ahead for it. But also because if you have that relationship with your bank and you're ready to attack the market when it comes to getting like a loan, getting some type of financing, this is great information for them to have and obviously yourself. And then once again, after this presentation, go on there and track all the information. I believe, Ashley, you put this in the chat box. Is that what I'm seeing there? Perfect. Yeah. Take advantage of it, guys. If you're ever bored on a Saturday afternoon, you have nothing to do, it's a really great tool for you to use and see if it works out for you. Want to help us with this part, Ash?
Yeah, I'll take this. So maximizing cash in. So we want to talk about the money coming in. What does that look like? How does that work? So 4 ways to identify and make the most of your business opportunities. Those are the topics and the areas that we're going to talk about. You know, what does that really look like? Are we identifying the money that's coming in? Are we looking at that? Are we optimizing on that? You know, those are so crucial for your cash flow and how your business is working. So know your competition. I think this is huge. You have to have an understanding of who your competition is because that is where you don't have those customers, right? Or those could be potential customers. Customers equal revenue. Revenue is cash flow coming into your business. Has your competitive landscape changed in the past year? Are you adapting to that? But again, I'm going to say this probably multiple times throughout this presentation, but your customers are revenue. If you don't have customers, you don't have revenue coming in. And so you need to understand, what is my competition doing? What are they doing? What services are they offering that maybe you're not? Or maybe there's something that you need to level up to do so that you can gain that audience as well. So understanding the competitive landscape is really crucial. And then in the workbook, I believe, Robert, we sent this to you guys. There is we have a digital one. If not, we can send this out, but it's called to complete your competitive analysis exercise. It just shows for you to put information on there on your current competition. It'll ask you some questions about what they're doing. And then it's going to give you a chart of where you land in that. Where are you? Are you in line with them? Are you above what they're doing? So it's good at when you're looking at pricing, you know, services, different things like that. Or maybe there are some things where you need to, you know, raise your prices, you know, that happens too. You have to understand the market. You have to understand where you're at, right? And understanding that, again, customers are the biggest key for your revenue stream, because if you don't have them, you don't have money coming in. And so this is what the chart will look like. So the other one, I think this is really big when we talk about customers, segmentation of customers, right? This is the thing. You cannot be all things to everybody, right? It just is not possible, because what I may want, Jose may not want. My interests are different than him. Somebody with kids may want something different. You need to understand your target audience, and then you need to go to them and you need to market to them differently so that you're gaining their attention in different ways. Know your customers so that you can be more strategic, you can more strategically build loyalty and expand your basis, right? That way you can understand if you have a small lower hanging fruit that maybe you can get with just like maybe a promo, your target's going to be different versus a really like your main customer, your top client that you're going after, your big fish. That's going to be a different way how you target that. But at the end of the day, we're still targeting to get those customers, but it's just going to be indifferent. So segmenting your customers is really important to understand each area of that.
Hey, Ashley, real quick, we had a question from Tammy. She has two businesses, electrical and a short-term rental. And she's asking, when you are putting money into improvement on property, does this affect your businesses negatively on your P&L? Our net incomes are being affected by this. Is this just a matter of classifying expenses differently in accounting? So pretty much what they're doing is they're just doing it. They're putting money back into their business, but it's affecting their P&L negatively. What do you think about this?
I would say that's like in accounting, like, because a lot of businesses, if you're doing certain things and how you're categorizing it, I think I'm not a CPA. I'll just say that I will preface that. But a lot of times you see that, and it's the way the CPA is categorizing it. There's a lot of factors that can go into it. Maybe they want to show this so your taxes look different in this way. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I just think it's just the way you're accounting for it. And if you can tell a story, like if you have on your statement of your taxes, or you have like a footer that you put on your P&L and balance sheet to explain what the scenario is, I don't think on paper it may look negatively, but if you're able to talk to that and explain like this is a one-time thing, we did improvements for XYZ, I think that's a story that can tell. And then you see the previous year, it looks different. So I think that's just a conversation you have with your accountant or CPA.
Yeah, the other thing, once again, we are not accountants, we are not CPAs. But one thing that we do see on this, if you are putting money back into the business for improvements, your accountant could be, once again, like Ashley mentioned, have a conversation with them. Could also be doing it to cut your tax liability. So if it's something, maybe you're doing such a great job on your short-term rentals that you may have a liability at the end of the year. Just like, you know what, let's kind of put some money back into the business so that we can kind of cut that liability down. But once again, great conversation to have to your CPA. But I agree with Ashley, classifying, or it sounds like it might be a tax strategy. And Tammy, I hope we answered your question on that one.
You can go to the next.
Right.
So who are your customers? Again, on the workbook that you guys have, is that there's a digital copy. You can find, who your customers are, really breaking that down. Again, customers equal revenue. You have to have a great understanding of your customer base. You cannot be all things to all people, and understand that, and that's okay. Just make sure you're analyzing that. And so on this worksheet, in the booklet, it has you do that. Break down your customers, see what platforms they're on, see what their interests are, really understanding that, so that you can then, again, create a strategic plan on how you're going to go after them or how you're going to cater to that customer.
Perfect. And then just one question from Jessica says, where do we find the workbook? Jessica, we'll get with Robert and team, make sure you guys all have it. We'll get it sent out to everybody. It's a digital workbook, but we will go ahead and make sure everybody has it at the end of the presentation.
Next slide. So the best customer, when they shop with you or they use your services, they spend a lot, right? What type of people typically fall into this category? These are the questions that you need to be talking to yourself. What goals can you set for these customers? How are you getting their attention? How are you bringing them in? This should be something that you're looking at on a regular basis, right? And how are you going to reach out to them? And I would say you should probably be looking at this at least annually. Going into like your fourth quarter, we're doing that now. Look at where your numbers are. Look at the gaps that you might have. Have you segmented your customers? How are you marketing? Because there could be customers that you're missing, right? Again, customers equal revenue. So you have to take the time to really understand your customer base. You can go to the next one. And these are ways you can categorize, and when you're segmenting your customers, the sustaining customers, they don't spend a lot, but they shop or they use your services and they're loyal, right? Again, how you're marketing to your best customer and to this, it's probably going to look different. and making sure you have a strategy. Again, how will you reach them? What does that look like? How can I deepen the relationship? How can I offer more services? Maybe they do some of their services with you and some of the stuff with your competitor. What is your competitor offering? Again, looking at your competition and looking at your customer base. And then the lookalike customer. I just gave myself my own segue, but like looking at your competition. How are they shopping with them and you offer the same services and products, and why aren't they shopping with you? Taking a look in the mirror at your business. Maybe it's the website. Maybe you need to revisit your website. Again, pricing, all those things that has to be a part of your strategy and your sales strategy for growth. Again, cash flow is customers. They're in the same bucket, right? So creating a plan. And then your aspirational customer. This is like your big fish. You know, you may not land them within the first year that you're doing this. Might be a long-term prospect, someone that you really want to get, like a big corporation. Maybe you're trying to get a contract with them. How are you approaching them? Because it shouldn't be the same as the one as maybe your best customer, right? There might be, you might have to offer more services. Your pricing might have to be different, right? Again, create a strategy on what that's going to look like and have a plan. And I would say whenever you're doing that, make sure you have an execution and you have dates that you're going to be doing this. Again, you're looking to scale, you're looking to get more cash flow coming in. Hold yourself accountable, create a strategy, give yourself a timeline, a date. I'm going to reach out to X by this time. I'm going to follow up on this date, and so on. Creating a plan is so important, especially when we're looking at scaling and growing and getting more cash flow coming in. You can go to the next one. So think about this. What new insights have you discovered through this conversation that maybe you thought about that you can about your current customers? Because I think a lot of people, when they think about cash flow, they don't think about this part. Customers are the biggest piece of cash flow. How are you going to approach that differently? What are you going to now take from today and start doing? Looking at your customers, analyzing them. So important. So take that and just think about that. What can I now do differently? What am I not doing that my competition's doing? Taking a look in the mirror, doing a reevaluation of your business is so important. You can go to the next slide. The value of segmentation. Once you've identified the different segments, like I said, now you can tailor your communications, reward loyalty, identify a new audience. And that's probably the biggest one, right? You're probably missing out on more opportunity to gain new customers, which then, again, more revenue, more opportunities for growth in your business. I think it's one of the things you should definitely do on a regular basis, but at least minimum once a year looking at that. This should definitely be a part about your strategy. And when you're looking at your financials, what are we doing? Where are our gaps? Where can we then maybe do something different? Maybe you need to think a little bit outside your box, right? Challenging yourself, challenging your business to do something a little bit different. 3, this is huge. So big when it comes to cash flow, adjusting and looking and reviewing your prices, because we're in a little situation now where everybody knows we have a little bit of inflation that we're calling it right now that's going on. And if you have not reevaluated your pricing, you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to see what the market's doing. Again, what the competition's doing. If it's costing you more money to produce a product or a service or anything like that, you need to look at that at your pricing, because that's going to impact your cash flow, because you have more money going out than you're having coming in because of your pricing. Habits change, costs shift, competitors attempt new strategies. You have to be doing this on a regular basis. Again, this is something you should be doing at least annually. What I like to tell a lot of the businesses that I work with, during the 3rd and 4th quarter, you should be reevaluating your pricing. You should be looking at your business plan, your strategy, see where your gaps are. If you're looking to get, an increase in revenue to 100,000, from 50,000 up to 100,000, you have to go back and reassess. Where am I falling short? If I continue on this, I'm going to stay stagnant, but I want to go upward. So we have to look at our pricing, look at our competitors, we look at our customers, pricing that is good for your customers, see what's going on, right? Maybe it's time to look at bundling items or services, creating new offerings, discount at volume orders, favorable payment terms. Maybe if you tell somebody, if you buy in bulk, I'll give you this type of a payment term. I'll give you this type of discount. But you have to start thinking about that and really understanding the landscape of your business and your clients so that you can adapt, because the worst thing you can do is not adapt and your business doesn't go or it shuts down. That happens a lot because they're not adapting. Or I hear this a lot, my customers won't shop with me. That might happen for a few, but a lot of people are more adaptable. It's just like gas, right? You got to put gas in your car. I get angry every single time. And I even go to Costco, and I thought Costco was it, right? I thought that was where I should go. The gas is still like $5, right? So I still got to put gas in my car. So I'm adapting to the environment, right? And so customers will do that with your businesses too. If you need to maybe send an email before saying we're having a price increase due to XYZ starting January, do that. Give them a forewarning. But at the end of the day, I do believe customers will still come if your product and your services is good and they want it, right? That's just what it is.
And one of the biggest ones was actually talked about this. Obviously, we talk a lot about business to consumer, but business to business pricing is also very important. The vendors you talk to, consider their pricing, but also consider, if you have a client and you tell them, hey, you pay me instead of net 30, net 60, do net 15 or, right on time, favorable terms. I think a lot of businesses are looking into it, and a lot of people know that it's actually becoming not a norm, but we understand the environment that we live in, right, Ash? What's that word that we don't want to talk about? Inflation. It's already hit us. It's already here. We all have to take a look at our pricing and make sure that we're still staying competitive, especially out there in this market.
It's necessary. And this is one thing, collect on your sales. Have it already. Be clear, efficient process for collecting receivables can help you avoid cash bottlenecks. I hear this all the time. Oh, well, he's only been late once, or they're a good customer. I don't want, no, done. Have clear, concise policies in place when it comes to collection. If you're only collecting off of either ACH, debit, whatever that is, or if you're late past this day, there's a late fee, collect on that. There's different ways that you can automate that will go through in this. You have to collect on yourselves, because the only person that's going to hurt is the business and you. It's not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt you, because then now you don't have maybe money for the next contract. Maybe you're contract to contract. And if they're late on you, then you can't fulfill another order. You have to have a plan in place on what that looks like and having your policies in place. Again, we talked about update your payment policies. If you're taking checks, maybe you don't want to take checks anymore. You want to get faster payment, invoice faster. Are you automating that? Are you using like a software system that sends a bill automatically to them? Where you can then debit. There's lots of options with different banks where they can go in and debit the your customer's account on a certain day if you set that up properly. And then monitor and follow up on your accounts receivable. If you have things that are 90 days plus, you need to be figuring out, why is that? What's going on? Do I need to reevaluate how I'm collecting? Is there a miscommunication? Or, re-looking at that, looking at that information is so important for your cash flow. And then this is the biggest thing, monitor your bank account. Don't rely on just notifications. You should be looking at your business bank account. I'm going to go ahead and say it, at least once a day. If not, at least once a week, so that you can catch anything that's coming up. If there's return, if a check gets returned or if a debit gets blocked, different things like that, you need to understand that. Understanding how money's coming in, how you're getting paid is so important for the business. And that is the most powerful thing you can have as a business owner, is to understand how your money's coming in. And then focus on process efficiencies. See what you're doing, right? maybe that it is something, again, like you're using maybe some treasury management, which they call that in the banking world, where again, you have automatic like ACH, automatic transfers, or EFT where they're doing, where they're debiting. Look at those services. If you can have, like, I know it's sometimes with QuickBooks or different things like that, where you can send an invoice with a link on it where they can just pay right from the link. See what automated services are there that you can collect on your funds in a timely fashion and an efficient an efficient, oh my gosh, I'm stuttering. I don't have enough coffee. In an efficient process. Because it's important. You got to collect on that, because then that messes up your cash flow. We want you guys on a good pattern and good things. Will things happen? Yes, things happen. But if you're doing other things and you have other processes in place, and that's just more the one-offs, you're going to be in a better position than having all of everything being on a one-off and everything's all over the place, right? We want to have a plan. We want to create efficiencies. We need to understand what's coming in and how it's coming in.
If you have a website and you do not accept credit cards on your website, I think you're missing out on a huge, easy way to get money back. I think merchant services, when it comes, I understand there's fees, there's everything associated with it. Those can be passed on to your client if it makes sense for that business relationship. But if you have a website and you do not have a form to take credit card payments on it, you're missing out on a huge, very easy way to collect on your payments immediately.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Thank you, Jose. So think about this. Do you have a creative approach to generating revenue that you would like to share? Do you guys do something differently? There is almost 50 businesses on this line. You guys can all be doing the same thing, right? Put it just in the chat, just like how you said what city you're from. Put some things in there. Tell people, this is how I'm collecting on this. This is what I do for different revenue streams. Maybe now I go and do drop-offs. We were on a call a couple of days ago. Somebody was dropping off just products, like sample products to different vendors, just randomly, just saying, here's my card. Think about different ways that you can generate more revenue, more cash flow coming in, and share with each other and take tips. It's a collaborative. When we listen and we work together, we all do better. I know that sounds really cliche, but it's true though. It's very true.
You sound like one of those self-help books. You really do. I'm going to talk about minimizing cash out, if that's okay with you, Ashley, or do you want to do more self-help?
No,
cliches?
I think I'm done. I'll drop the mic.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So knowing when and where cash goes out can help you right size your spending. All right. We talk about budgeting. We talk about the personal side. We all heard, like I mentioned earlier, put some money away, but we also have to know where our money's going to. Treating your business just like your personal finances, knowing where they go, I would even say even to the next level can help you out. So one of the ways that we can minimize cash going out is we talk about vendor relationships. All right. We are also somebody's clients, right? As we sit here and we reevaluate our business, and, Ashley and Jose are giving you guys this great insight. Let's talk about where everything's going. We also have to think about the relationships that we have. And one of the biggest ones is vendor relationships. Do you have favorable terms with your vendor? One of the things that as we reevaluate, we take a look at what's happening is to also find out, has your business changed? Is your vendor still enough for you? Okay. Can they handle your business, or are there other options that we need to take a look at? Just like Ashley says, a lot of us are very loyal to who we work with. Obviously, they have helped us, but we also have to understand our business and see where we're at. Is there times for me? I've been such a great client, but I haven't had anything in return, or maybe they're not fulfilling how they used to be. So these are ways that we can look out, which will minimize cash going out. If you do have a net 15 payment structure, what if we do a net 30 or net 60? I've shown that I'm a great client. I've shown that I've had a great relationship with you. What else can we do to kind of get you a little bit better favorable terms? And when we talk about vendor relationship, it's just not who you get your material from. We're also going to talk about your bank. We're also going to talk about your CPA. We're going to talk about your attorney. Everybody that you utilize to do business, those are the ones that you should be looking at. Because as business change, as your company grows, as your company expands, you want to make sure that you are working with the right team and the right people to help you out. One of the biggest ones that I just saw recently, Ashley, was one of the small businesses I'm working with, they are now starting to expand to other states outside of Arizona. Their CPA is not familiar with laws, California, Texas, all the other states that they're looking to go into. They're not familiar with their laws when it comes to their payroll, when it comes to, their tax position. So these are vendors relationships that we have to evaluate, not just for the monetary purpose, but also for their intellectual purpose as well. Hey, do you know how a business is going to run? Because obviously that can cost you money down the road. So something to take a look at. Okay, in the workbook, page 16, it'll actually let you go in there and analyze your vendor relationship. Think about the people you're working with. Like I mentioned, once again, it's not just the people you buy your raw material from, but it's also everybody else that does business, your CPA, your banker, your lawyer, everybody that goes into it to make sure they are still a good vendor, or you guys still have a good relationship for you. Okay. The other way that we can minimize cash going out is obviously high performing teams. These is your payroll. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest line items when it comes to your P&L is your payroll. That's a huge liability, something to take a look at. So one thing that we need to do as business owners is get there and say, which staff members are essential for me to work, right? Which ones do we need to keep? Which ones, what are the responsibilities? That's a big one. One great little task that I tell everybody is to take a look at your team and write down all their responsibilities, what they do, what their day-to-day look like. And if you see a lot of commingling, then maybe that's something that we can take a look at and say, you know what? Maybe I don't need you October through December because that is my low season. Or let's do a seasonal staff option. Is that an option for you? Okay. There's different ways. And I've always said it costs more money to bring on somebody new than to retain somebody. Because if you think about it, obviously the first one is with the current structure that we're in, with the current economy that we're in, a lot of people are asking for more money. Obviously, inflation, all the fun stuff that's going on in our world, people are looking to gain a little bit more money when it comes to their day to day. But one of the biggest ones that we can look at is, would it be cheaper for me to just go ahead and give somebody a raise that's already doing a great job, already knows my time, already knows my system, or would it be beneficial for me to go ahead and find somebody else or outsource a position as well? Those are things that as a business owners, we definitely have to take a look at and find out which is the best route for us to go. Another one that we talked about is real estate. That was part of our cash flow intro that we talked about is your real estate. You take a look at your space. Do you still need the space that you're currently in, or do you rent it, or do you own it? Would it be better for you to go own it because it's going to be cheaper than paying rent? These are all ways that we can take a look at it. And then one that I don't think enough people take advantage of is renegotiating your lease with your landlord, especially if you're in like a complex and you notice there's a lot of vacancy. Okay, that's a great time to go to your landlord and say, hey, I need to renegotiate my lease. I would like to see maybe we can extend it by another 2 or 3 years, but you're going to drop my pricing down. The other thing too is if your space, if it's still the space you need, but maybe the interior is not what you're looking for, maybe it's time for you to take a look at it and negotiate with your landlord. Hey, can we do maybe some tenant improvement options or something to go at it to make it more feasible for you? And then one that's really easy is, do you need the space? We see a lot of businesses are like, yeah, I want a storefront, I want this, which is great. I think everybody should aspire to whatever their goals, whatever their dreams are. But if it is to own your own space, to have your own store, be honest with yourself and say, hey, do I have enough money for me, or am I generating enough sales for me to keep this space? That's one way that we could definitely take a look at to save some money going out. And spending on inventory is obviously very, very important when it comes to, especially my restaurant folks out there. You really, really have to take a look at your inventory and find out, am I buying the right amount of produce? Because obviously those are perishable items. Those are things that you have to evaluate. If you always find out that you're throwing out food or things are expiring, then that's where we need to take a step back and find out which route you're taking. All right, that's a huge one for people with raw materials. Lumber has an expiration date after a while, especially in this Arizona climate. For those here in Arizona, how dry it is, we need to make sure that we're spending on the right inventory and having the right amount. Even though it will show on your balance sheet, it's still something. It's still cash just hanging out there in your lot or at your place of business. So it's something that we want to make sure we're moving it at the right time so it doesn't tie up your cash.
And just a reminder, when you're going for financing or lending, a lender will ask for your inventory report. So I think one, you should have one just so you can see where things are, how long you've had it. I would definitely highly recommend that so you have a good idea of that. And then also when it comes to lending and you're in different industries, a lender could possibly ask for your inventory report to see how long you're sitting on things and how things are turning.
Great advice. Thank you, Ashley. All right. And then your marketing. Marketing is a big one that a lot of people are spending money on, which is great. Obviously, we got to get out there with social media, with websites, with SEOs, everything that goes into it. But we want to make sure that we are spending money on the initiatives that actually deliver, reanalyzing your marketing after 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is, especially if you have a new company. Make sure that you're getting your bang for your buck, right? That's the big one that we really want to find out when it comes to marketing. Am I generating leads? And just like we will at the end of our presentation, where that QR code for us to get feedback, make sure you do that for your clients as well. Find out, hey, how'd you hear about me? If it's a new client that walked into your office, it's a new business owner that walked into your office, like, how'd you find out about me? Who'd you hear? It's a really simple thing. You can actually send in an email, put it on your invoice, whatever it is. Collect that data for yourself, so then you will know, you know what, Jose, I am using this marketing company and they're blasting me all over MySpace. If you guys still have MySpace, do people still use MySpace? It's okay.
No.
I digress.
You just dated yourself.
No, I really did, huh? I didn't even think about that. Anyways, but as you go through it, it's like, hey, maybe this website is actually giving me a lot of leads. Something for you to think about, something for you to know where to spend your money so you can get the most for it. Ashley, want to take us home with Make Cash Work for You?
Yeah, so let's make it work for us, right? Again, we went over a lot. We need to have plans. We need to understand things. Recognizing how money moves through your business has never been more important. It's probably the most important thing that you can have or know as a business owner. And if you're not, you're doing yourself a disadvantage. You have to understand how money moves in and out your business so that you know how to move. Again, and if you ever understand that, it stops you from moving blindly. You have intentionality when you're moving, which is extremely important, especially if you're looking at growing your business, right? So we can go to the next one. Again, take advantage of this. I know Jose said if you're bored on a Saturday, do this. I would say do it. Just do it. Just see where you're currently at. Go here, do the analysis, see what it pops out so you can see where you're at. And then where those gaps are, fix them. If you don't have a gap, but you're kind of stagnant and you're not going up, see what you can do to go up. Segmenting your customers, understanding your vendors, your expenses, analyzing all the data. It's so important. So I would suggest going there and doing that sooner than later. You can go to the next slide. So think about this. After this course, how do you feel? Do you feel more confident about your ability to manage your cash flow? Do you have a better understanding? Do you have a different understanding of cash flow? Cash flow, again, like I said, a lot of times people think it's just money coming into your checking account. They're not really understanding the things that go into the cash flow, what make up cash flow. And we hit all of those and why that's so important. So think about where you're at. And if you have more questions, we're happy to talk to anybody one-on-one and go through and do a deep dive. And then, if you have any questions now, we're happy to answer them. But if not, that is it.
Excellent, great. We got a couple minutes. We can answer some questions. And I know Ashley and Jose have been answering them throughout this session as well, some verbally and some typing the answers. But again, post up those questions if you have them. One thing, we will post the workbook with the recording of this session in the content library. Faith posted a link in the chat to the boot camp, so you can go there, and later this afternoon or tomorrow morning, the recording, the slide deck, and the workbook will be available on the bootcamp website. So it looks like you posted the QR code on the screen. What's that for?
Yes. Yeah. So this is, like I said, this is just a little feedback that we get, Robert. So if you guys could just scan that QR code and it's like 3 or 4 questions, The city is Phoenix. We would greatly appreciate it. That is how we get our feedback on these presentations. What can we do better? What else would you guys like to see? Because obviously we're here to support the ACA as much as we can. So we want to make sure that you guys getting the most out of this content, the most out of these sessions.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see what questions we got in there. One just want to thank us. Thank you, Alejandra. And the link in the chat, there's a link to the boot camp page. And on the boot camp page, you'll find the cash flow session at the bottom of the content library. And later today or tomorrow morning, all the materials will be posted up there along with the recording. So with that, it looks like we are good on the questions. We will give everybody a couple minutes back to their day and wrap up here. But we want to thank, again, Jose and Ashley for your presentation and your time. We could not do these without all our experts giving back their time, and we appreciate it very much. With that, any last words, Ashley or Jose?
Just thank you guys for your time and keep going. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of hearts. I admire all of you guys. Just know that you're going to be all right. And there's going to be hard days, but there's also going to be really good days.
Yes, excellent. So thank you. And then just a quick reminder as we close out, of course, next Tuesday morning, we'll have our boot camp. We hope you join us there. But again, on this Thursday at noon, we're doing that special session. So if you know one that's thinking about starting a business, is just recently started, looking to do a DBA or other stuff, or if you know service providers that work with small businesses, feel free to share that link so they can also understand or get a better understanding of how the Business One Stop works. It's a great program by the state, and we want to make sure everybody knows how to leverage it and save time when you're setting up your business. So with that, we want to thank everybody for being here with us. Again, we want to thank Ashley and Jose, and we hope to see you on the next boot camp. Have a great week. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.